What do you get when the king of clean rap gets clowned by the god of lyrical destruction? A ticking time bomb that finally blew up. That's right. After decades of subliminal shots, passive-aggressive interviews, and one legendary Oscar slap, the Cold War between Eminem and Will Smith just ignited into a full-blown lyrical inferno. And no, this ain't just about one little bar in the real Slim Shady. This goes deeper, petty, personal, and straight-up petroleum-fueled. Beef. But wait, Will Smith, the getting jiggy with it guy? The Hollywood sweetheart with a rap sheet cleaner than a Clorox commercial. Yep, that guy, and guess what? Turns out he's been holding onto a grudge tighter than Uncle Phil held Jazz's collar, and Eminem. Oh, he's not just watching from the sidelines. Word on the digital street is, he's ready to bury this G-rated legacy once and for all. Why now? Why this moment? And what exactly got leaked that's making fans on both sides scream, "No way he said that"? Buckle up. Because what started with a clean rhyme in the 90s just erupted into the dirtiest drama hip-hop has seen in years. You ever see a storm coming from miles away? Slow, quiet, building pressure in the background for years. And then out of nowhere, boom. Welcome to the longest-running silent beef in hip-hop, finally snapping like a dry twig. Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of positive energy, and Eminem, the foul-mouthed firestarter from Detroit, have been on opposite sides of the rap spectrum since the cassette tape era. But recently, the tension went nuclear. Not with a diss track, not with a podcast rant. No, this time it was something much sneakier, a leak. And this wasn't your average, "oops, my mic was on" type of leak. This one peeled the curtain back on 2 decades of pent-up hostility, jealousy, and low-key shade that's been bubbling under the surface like a pot of lyrical lava. Let's rewind for a second. Picture it, 1999. Y2K panic is in full swing. Boy bands are dancing in sync, and Will Smith is walking across the MTV VMA stage in a crisp suit, smiling like a Disney hero and delivering what sounds like a wholesome acceptance speech. "Never killed nobody in none of my records. I don't use no profanity in none of my records. And still I managed to get up here." Most people clapped. Parents beamed. Sponsors quietly nodded. But one man in the shadows. He didn't clap. He didn't smile. Just filed that moment away like a loaded bullet. 'Cause while Will was basking in clean-cut glory, Eminem was out here lighting the entire music industry on fire with zero filters and a Molotov pen. The same year, Eminem had just dropped My Name Is, and everything about it screamed chaos. He mocked celebrities, slammed his mom, and used profanity so thick you needed a bleep machine just to survive a verse on radio. He wasn't just anti-mainstream, he was anti-everything Will Smith represented. So when Will stood there bragging about making it without cussing, it wasn't just a victory lap. It was a jab. And Eminem felt it, loud and clear. He didn't clap back immediately. No, Eminem doesn't waste a bullet when he can build a bomb. He waited, calculated, observed. And then in May 2000, he dropped the real Slim Shady. That's when the gloves came off. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do. So F him and F you too. That one bar, that one line buried in a hurricane of insanity, flipped the entire image of Will Smith on its head. Suddenly, clean wasn't cool. Suddenly, family-friendly meant boring. Eminem didn't just diss Will, he exposed the flaw in his armor and made him look like the hallmark card of hip-hop. And the world ate it up. Will's biggest virtue became his biggest punchline, and Eminem didn't even need to say another word. But this wasn't some random lyrical jab. This was personal. Because what most people don't know is that before that 1999 VMA moment, there was already friction. Back in 1998, before the world knew who Eminem really was, he crossed paths with Will and DJ Jazzy Jeff in a studio. Jeff later said that Will listened to just the two of us, looked M dead in the face, and said, You're either going to be the biggest flop in hip-hop or the biggest thing we've ever seen. Now, some would call that a compliment. Eminem? He heard a warning. Like Will knew what was coming and wanted to plant a seed of doubt. That energy stuck. Em never forgot it. And when he finally had the mic and the audience, he used Will's own words as ammunition. The best part? Will never responded. Not really. Oh sure, he made vague comments in interviews. Kept repeating the clean rap mantra. He never stepped into the ring. And in hip-hop, silence after being named is blood in the water. Years passed. Eminem's legacy grew darker, deeper, more untouchable. Will's stayed safe, smiley, scrubbed clean by Hollywood handlers. But behind those smiles, the tension never left. And then something weird happened. In 2005, Will dropped a track called Mr. Nice Guy on his album Lost and Found. Nobody really noticed it. It was calm, melodic, and of course, profanity-free. But if you listened closely, he said dissed by Eminem but didn't bother him. Yep, he classy. That's it. That was his response. A sanitized 9-word brush-off 6 years too late. And like a balloon with a slow leak, the impact was dead on arrival. It didn't sting, didn't trend, it didn't do anything. Because by then, Eminem had already cemented the narrative. And Will, whether he liked it or not, had become a symbol of the safe path that no one really respected anymore. But let's not get it twisted. Will might have been quiet in public, but privately, he was fuming. Word behind the scenes was that he felt disrespected for years, felt like Eminem had made a mockery of everything he worked for. And while he never fired back with bars, he was always looking for ways to rewrite the story. That's why in 2020, when Joyner Lucas dropped the song Will as a tribute, Will jumped on the remix. And in the middle of what should have been a heartwarming full-circle moment, we'll drop this little gem. I don't do the beefing. I don't do the evil. Still clean, still smiling, still pretending like it never really got under his skin. But everyone knew. Everyone knew he was still trying to frame himself as the noble guy above the drama while low-key addressing it, 20 years late. But the internet doesn't forget. Reddit exploded. TikTok kids discovered the bar like it was brand new. People were reenacting the moment, lip-syncing the line, creating memes left and right. But waited 20 years to respond and still lost. One Reddit user wrote, "Ouch." And just when you thought it couldn't get more ironic, fate decided to make a mockery of the entire thing. Because in 2022, on the biggest stage in Hollywood, during the Academy Awards, Will Smith, Mr. Clean Rap himself, walked up to Chris Rock and slapped him across the face, live on television. And as millions watched in confusion and horror, Will screamed the one thing he swore he never needed to use. Profanity. Keep my wife's name out your F***ing mouth. Just like that, the final piece of irony snapped into place. The man who once built his career on never cursing in public had just detonated that image in the loudest, messiest, most public way possible. And guess who didn't say a word? Eminem. He didn't need to, 'cause that one slap, that one meltdown, proved everything he said 2 decades earlier was right. It wasn't above it. He was just hiding it better. The mask had finally slipped and the world saw what was underneath. And just when fans thought the leak was bad enough, things got uglier. A second voice memo was accidentally dropped into the chaos by none other than an alleged assistant of a major hip-hop podcast producer who claimed they'd been sitting on this tape for months waiting for the right moment. The moment being, apparently, now. The voice on the recording sounded suspiciously like Will or someone trying to sound like Will, laughing during a private dinner and telling a small crowd of unnamed industry heads, I mean, Emas got bars, but he talks too much. And let's be real, that angry white boy stick got tired years ago. And if you think the internet let that slide, you must be new here. Stan Twitter activated like sleeper agents on a mission. Reddit threads turned into war zones. IG lives were flooded with debates. Even DJ Academics paused his usual chaos to say, "Yo, this might be the wildest crossover beef we didn't know we needed." Fans started digging into the archives like obsessed detectives. They unearthed old footage from the early 2000s where Eminem low-key throws shade at rappers too afraid to curse. And guess who was trending on Nickelodeon at the time? Will. Some pointed out that EM's lyric in The Real Slim Shady, "Will Smith don't. Gotta cuss in his raps to sell records." Well, I do. So F him and F you too wasn't just a punchline. It was a public shot. And Will. He laughed it off in interviews back then, saying he respected EM's success and had no problem with it. But fans now say that smile, that was damage control. Behind closed doors, resentment was boiling. One former radio host claimed Will used to roll his eyes anytime someone brought up Eminem's name in conversation. Another source, allegedly a former assistant on the set of Men in Black 2, swears they heard Will ranting between takes. Why does this dude keep talking about me? Is he obsessed or what? The real kicker. A ghostwriter who once worked with a big-name artist from the mid-2000s told a shady YouTube commentator that Will once wrote a full response diss track to Eminem, but was told by his team it would ruin his brand. According to this ghostwriter, the lyrics were scathing, personal, and shockingly brutal, coming from someone usually known for family-friendly bars. Apparently, Jada even heard it and said, "You sure you want to go there?" And Will shelved it until now. Because according to some conspiracy-level internet sleuths, Will's recent musical comeback tease has more than just fresh beats. It's got subtle venom. One leaked track, still unreleased but somehow circulating among elite music insiders, allegedly includes the lines, "Raised a whole family while you raised a bottle. I was flipping classics while you chased a hollow." The internet nearly combusted decoding that. Raised a bottle. A reference to Eminem's past with substance abuse. Chased a hollow, calling EMS's fame empty. People are calling it the cleanest, dirtiest diss in rap history. Meanwhile, Eminem hasn't said a word. Not a single tweet. Not a bar, nothing. Which only made things worse because silence from M. That's dangerous. That usually means he's cooking something. And fans know what happens when Eminem cooks. It's never vegan. It's pure beef. There was also a report that M was spotted leaving a Detroit studio with some of his closest collaborators, including longtime producer Luis Resto. A source close to the studio manager said the mood was tense. Doors were shut, phones were banned, and the walls were shaking. People inside claim he was pacing around like a caged lion listening to the leaked audios of Will on loop, mumbling to himself, shaking his head, and writing furiously in a notepad. And that's when rumors began flying that Eminem was working on what some are calling the lyrical nuke of the decade. According to a highly questionable but wildly entertaining tweet from a fake Shade Room account, the diss track is called "Summertime Sadness" and allegedly ends with the line, "Keep my name out your mouth unless you're rapping it right." Whether or not that's true, one thing's for sure: hip-hop is bracing itself. Because when M does respond, he doesn't just clap back. He burns bridges, demolishes careers, and etches names into tombstones. Fans started creating fake cover art, YouTube thumbnails with fire effects and shocked faces. TikTok was full of people reenacting what they think the diss will sound like, some even wearing Will Smith costumes. And through all this, the Smith camp has remained oddly quiet. No official statement. No Instagram story. No clarification. Not even a cryptic quote post. Just silence. Which, in this era of over-explaining and PR overdrive, feels suspicious in itself. Some fans believe it's because Will is gearing up to drop a full music project where he finally addresses years of rap drama. Others think his team is scrambling to do damage control, trying to find out who leaked the audio and how much more is out there. Because if there's one thing we know about celebrity leaks, it's never just one clip. There's always more. Screenshots, videos, backstage whispers. One TikTok user claimed to have a cousin who works in a data storage firm that handles artist backups, and allegedly there's a folder titled W vs. M with over 15 unreleased files. Sounds wild. Absolutely. But welcome to 2025, where fake news and fan theories hit harder than press releases. What makes this mess even more chaotic is the people who've suddenly chosen sides. Ice Cube allegedly posted a tweet that said only one Marshall in this game before deleting it 3 minutes later. LL Cool J liked a meme comparing Eminem to Vegeta and Will Smith to Mr. Satan. Even 50 Cent, the king of petty, reportedly said on a live stream, "I told y'all Will wasn't built for this." Now look. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, the final nail in the coffin dropped like a mic at the end of a diss track. It's an anonymous account calling itself Marshall Files 87. Surfaced out of nowhere and leaked what appears to be internal emails between music execs, allegedly discussing a secret cease and desist sent by Will's team to Eminem's camp years ago, according to the messages. The letter urged M to cease referencing Mr. Smith in any future commercial music products, as the comparisons are damaging to Mr. Smith's professional image and brand legacy. That right there sent fans spiraling into digital chaos. Was Will Smith really trying to legally silence Eminem, the most uncensored voice in rap? Twitter threads turned into expose threads. Reddit conspiracy subreddits exploded with timelines tracking every passive-aggressive moment between the two, and fans on both sides started digging up old interviews with forensic precision. And then came the cherry on top. An unearthed clip from a 2002 interview where Eminem, visibly holding back, was asked if he respected Will Smith. His response, a tight-lipped smile and the words, "Next question." Looking back now, that wasn't just awkward. That was coded. Smoke and all this silence over the years, that wasn't peace. That was strategy. That was calculation. That was two giants refusing to swing first in public, all while lacing their gloves behind the scenes. But here's where it gets even more twisted. A new AI-generated song started making rounds online, combining audio samples of Eminem's voice with bars mocking Will's Oscars slap and referencing Jada's entanglement. It sounded so real, people genuinely believed M finally snapped. The backlash was immediate. Smith's fans demanded accountability, even though M's team quickly clarified the track was fake and unauthorized. Still, it added more gasoline to the already flaming feud. And you know, the internet doesn't care about what's real, it cares about what goes viral. Suddenly, #MVs will start trending again, memes flooded TikTok, and parody accounts jumped in with fake bars, skits, and mock diss videos. It became bigger than the artists. It became cultural chaos. Meanwhile, people close to both camps started speaking anonymously to media outlets, describing the tension as irreconcilable and warning that if either of them ever did go full diss track mode, it wouldn't just shake the industry, it would redefine the boundaries of what beef in hip-hop even looks like. One insider reportedly said, Eminem has entire hard drives of unreleased verses that would end careers, and some of them were recorded after Will's Oscar moment. If he ever dropped them, it'd be over. But Will ain't no lightweight either. Remember? This is a man who's kept his image intact for decades, dodged every scandal until recent years, and still has global pull. He may not be the kind to battle with bars, but don't mistake silence for weakness. Sources say he's got the Hollywood machine behind him, and that if this continues, legal and brand level moves will be made that could shut things down real quick. So now the question is, where do we go from here? Is this all just smoke with no fire? Or is a full-blown lyrical war about to erupt? Is Eminem going to dig into his vault and unleash years of pent-up rhymes that have been marinating in resentment? Or is Will going to pivot the narrative and drop a surprise project reclaiming his legacy? Whatever happens next, one thing is crystal clear. This isn't just a rap feud. This is a cultural clash between two icons who shaped different eras with entirely different codes. One conquered Hollywood with smiles and box office charm. The other burned his way to the top with rage, trauma, and raw honesty. And now, both legacies are colliding in a way no one saw coming. So grab your popcorn, mute the distractions, and keep your notifications on, because if even half of the rumors are true, the next move in this battle could be historic. And when it happens, you already know we'll be right here to break it down. If you thought this story was over, think again. The tension between Eminem and Will Smith is far from cooling down, and the next chapter could drop at any moment. Whether it's a surprise diss track, an unexpected interview, or a cryptic post that sets the internet on fire, you don't want to miss a second of this unfolding drama. So if you're as invested in this explosive beef as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on those notifications so you're the first to know when we drop the next bombshell update. And hey, don't just watch, join the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you Team M or Team Will? Do you think this beef is about to explode even more? Or is someone finally going to call for peace? Your take might just be featured in our next video. We've got eyes everywhere, tracking every subtle move, every cryptic lyric, and every behind-the-scenes leak. So stay locked in, because when it comes to celebrity drama, this real and this raw, we're going to bring you the truth louder than anyone else.